Hello and welcome to the Serious Games Podcast, all about playful methods for interactive trainings and facilitation. Let's get started. And welcome back to the Serious Games Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the change game, and I have invited Nancy Beers. And Nancy is located in Harlem. We were just talking shortly. It's not Harlem, New York, but Harlem next to Amsterdam. And Nancy and I, we've met, maybe you have a hint for me, Nancy, but I think 2 or 3 years ago at Play 14. Yeah. So welcome to the show, first of all. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Perfect. And when I wrote that I would love to interview you and you can choose the game, you immediately wrote back, why don't we do the change game? That's one of my favorites. So 2 questions to start with. Number 1, what should we know about you? And second, how would you pitch the change game to someone who has no clue what it's about?
First off, myself, I rediscovered playing actually at Play 14, which is sort of weird since my dad used to place playgrounds all over Holland. So it's a very natural thing to me to play. But somehow I just figured out that playing is such a good way to learn, and it comes so natural to me to play with other people that I figured out that I can actually make a living out of it. So and combine it very much with my Scrum Mastering, because my company's name is the Happy Scrum Master, and that's what I am, a Happy Scrum Master. And next to that, I do a lot of playfication, serious play, and give talks about things like that. So
Wow,
that's what I do.
Great.
And the change game is, I think I also discovered it at a Play 14 and probably Luxembourg as well. It really ticks with me because it combines silliness with some deeper layers. And that's what I love most about serious games, that you don't need difficult attributes or anything for it. Just have a group of people, play this game, have a lot of fun, and afterwards figure out what the deeper layers are underneath. And for me, it's, on the one hand, it's a way to let people understand what change does to you.
Okay.
And second of all, it's a good game to explain how playification works, so more on a meta level. And that's what really sticks out or is there when I think about this game. And that's what makes it so powerful. Yeah.
Perfect. And now we have a couple of minutes to discover the silliness inside the game, but also all of the layers, or let's say maybe most of the layers that you normally share with your participants. So let's start with what do you need to prepare? So when you're thinking of the change game, is there anything in particular you need to bring or take or write or prepare?
Well, of course, from my perspective, it's very much in my head already. But if you're new to facilitating it comes in handy to have some written out rules or ideas. But what I basically need is a group of people, and with a group, a minimum of 2 will do. But a larger group will be more fun. That can be any layer of the organization. I love to play it with management teams, but any group of people will do. What you need is a room free of tables and chairs, so free space to move around. And nothing actually more in particular except for a timer, maybe, but you can use your phone or a time timer or anything. So bring some notes and have a group of people there, and then you're basically set to start.
To start. Okay, great. And if you decide to write the rules down, what would you write down? So what are the rules of the game?
The rules of the game are that you every round you have to change 5 things about yourself, but you don't give that away at the beginning of the game. But that's and afterwards you have to find the changes with your partner in crime. So you play the game in pairs.
Okay, there you go. That was the missing link, I think. So you pair up, and the people are spread throughout the whole room, but in pairs. Okay.
So when I start, what I love to use, and I learned that one in Hamburg, and maybe even from you,
Mm-hmm.
is find your soulmate, which is
Ah.
did I get that from you, or I'm not quite certain
Yeah,
anymore.
it
But
might be from me, but look, I stole it from Corey, right? So the soulmate, a partner finding a grouping exercise. That's a good
do
one. I
you
like
want to
that.
explain it, or
No,
will I?
you go for it. And look,
Okay.
I'll play this episode to Corey, and then I'll ask her if she will be on one of our next episodes here.
To do that as well. Thank you, Corey. The idea is find your soulmate, and by soul you mean the sole of your shoe. So you look at the sole of your shoe and figure out uh, uh, who has the other soul that looks the most similar to your soul.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it helps because you break up the group in
Yes.
they won't go for the usual suspects as being their
Mm.
partner. So
Yeah.
it's very good way to mingle the group
Mm-hmm.
without and do it in a playful way, right?
Yes,
So find yourself,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
make some fantastic word jokes. At least that's what I'm.
Ab-
Who's still lost soul and things like that. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's
That's a
what
very good one.
that's what I really like about that. So then you have pairs. That's
Okay, so
basically
you
the end
you have
result.
pairs you have pairs standing around. Okay, and how does it start? So they're standing
The
facing each
first,
other, and what do you say?
yes, they're standing facing each other, and then I ask people for 1 minute, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds short, but if you ask them to do this for 1 minute, it will feel like a lifetime, to
Mm-hmm.
observe each other very, very closely.
Mm-hmm.
What does their hair look like? What are they wearing? Do you think they're happy? So I'm already tuning in a little bit on the emotion part. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just observe each other, and you will see that people can get a little bit uncomfortable already, because
Mm.
it's a minute is a long time to observe someone and
Yeah.
being observed as well. So
Mm.
it's already getting a little bit awkward, right? After that minute, I asked them to stand back to back,
Okay.
and then I asked them to change 5 things about your appearance. So
Uh-huh.
change 5 things about yourself.
Okay. So, for example, I would take off my glasses, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would remove an earring, something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Mm-hmm.
people find unbutton or button their shirts the wrong way, or
Okay.
people do
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of different things.
All right.
You ask them, when you're finished changing 5 things about yourself, raise your hands. So as a facilitator, you will know when everybody's ready. And then you
Mm-hmm.
ask them to turn again, facing each other, and find the 5 differences in your partner.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's the first round. Go for it. And when you're ready, raise your hand again, so you at least will know when the whole group is ready, which helps you as a
Oh, so
facilitator.
ready means when you found the
When you have
five
found the
changes.
five,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
If it takes too long, you can tell them, okay, you can help each other out a little bit now, because some people have a tendency to really go into deep details, removing a contact lens or something, which is very hard to spot.
Very true. Where did it go?
So give them some time, and then probably at one point everybody will be standing up with their hands in the air, and then you
Mm.
can go for the second round. You ask them to stand back to back again, and ask them to change another 5 things.
Okay. So am I allowed to change stuff back, which would be literally a change again?
This is almost the number one question I get every time I play
Mm.
this game. It
Okay.
has to be 5 new things.
Oh,
Change
wow.
5 new things. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that for a second round, and then you turn back to each other again. Same routine
Mm.
as the first round. Find the 5 differences in your soulmate, in your partner, and when you found the 5 differences, the new 5 differences, raise your
Mm-hmm.
hand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow.
Now comes the great part. Then you ask them to stand back to back again.
Oh, wow.
The moment you ask that as a facilitator, people will start to mumble and grumble.
Oh, wow.
Please change 5 more things
More
about
things.
yourself. new things.
That's the third round, right? So we're
Yes.
counting number 15 then, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 to 15. Wow. So
Mm-hmm.
what do people do? I mean, did it remove shoes, or I can imagine. Do you have some hints for us? What do you observe?
Um, I have seen different things, and that's also
Mm.
a key pointer for the debrief. Um, the third round is basically the hardest
Mm.
because yes, there will be a fourth round. Yes, it is also a bit of a sadistic game.
Well, but only 4 rounds, okay? Or how many rounds do you normally play?
That depends on the group.
Mm.
If
Okay.
they're not awkward yet, I will make them awkward.
So you go for number 5 and number
Yeah,
6,
sure.
and okay, wow.
If it's, but your question was what happens?
Yeah.
People tend to get more creative and start doing
Mm-hmm.
weird stuff. So, for
Mm.
instance, putting their glasses upside down, or putting a shoe on their head, or so people
Mm.
are becoming more creative in what they can change about themselves.
Mm.
One thing I have seen happening is people move places actually entirely,
Oh,
which I
okay.
thought
So now
was
you have a new partner then, right?
very smart, very smart. That was more than 100 changes in one. But yeah, I really like
Cool.
that one.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
people will start grumbling and saying, "This is not
Yeah.
possible. This is not.
Yeah.
What are you asking?" And I'm quitting. I'm not doing this anymore. And
Mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm.
don't let people feel unsafe. So make sure that
Sure.
you provide still provide a safe space. So you have to figure out
Mm.
in the group if everyone is still okay.
Yes.
Most of the time, I quit after round 3. And
Okay. Okay. But did it ever happen that someone opted out and said, "Okay, look, this is just I don't really know where this is going."
one person once, yeah,
Okay. All right.
really
So
said,
it
I'm
happened.
sorry, I
Yeah.
cannot come up with anything
Mm.
anymore.
Okay.
Who was
So, but how
actually an
does it
agile
continue?
coach, so I was a bit worried, but
Yeah, you never know what triggers, what is
yeah,
triggered in your
that's true.
participants.
That's true.
So let's imagine you did, let's say, 4 rounds, right? And
Hmm.
so the last round was super hard. They turned back, maybe they spotted the changes, and what then? So everyone is still standing in a
Yeah.
room with their hands up. How do you start? Debriefing, or how do you start wrapping it up?
I asked them to stand in a circle. Most of the time, that's
Mm.
possible. And my first question is, what was the very first thing you changed in the very first round?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I recollect properly, you said, "Oh, so people take off their glasses or take off their shoes, or
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. Something easy, I would say,
yeah,
huh? Mm-hmm.
something easy." The funny thing is that 99% of the people, their first change is getting rid of something, losing
Mm-hmm.
something, and that's one of the
Mm.
major big eye openers to me in this game. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so change equals loss.
So you take off, I don't know, a ring, or you take off your belt,
Shoes.
or you remove something in your hair. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Change means loss. So when you think
Mm.
about change, you think about getting rid of something or losing something. And that's a very
Mm.
natural thing, basically. So that's something that we have to take into account if you are a manager, a agile coach, a scrum master, any a change agent. If you want to change
Mm.
something in an organization or in your family or wherever, um, take into account that people have the feeling that they have to lose something to change. And
Mm.
that's
Mm.
for me is a very powerful message in this game.
Okay. And um, what else? I mean, they understand, okay, I got rid of something. But then they might say, or I can just imagine that I would say, yeah, but, the moment the game progressed, I, maybe even added stuff or
Uh-huh.
just changed things or.
Um,
What other reactions do you get?
the thing is, at first you were working with your primal part of your brain, so you're losing stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to get creative in
Yeah.
what other things am I going to change, and then people start getting creative and adding things or putting post-its on their
Mm.
forehead or. But also working together with people standing next to them to exchange glasses or shoes or things like
Ah,
that.
yeah. So with my neighbor, I can, okay, I can exchange swap
What
things.
are other people doing? So I tend to ask questions like, okay, what did you do to come up with new ideas? How did that work? What did you think? What did you feel? What did you? So really
Mm-hmm.
working on the experience and the emotions. What what did it mean? What
Mm.
happened when I asked change three more things?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And can you loop us in? What type of reactions do you get? I mean, is there, you mentioned management groups or
mhm,
random participants. You said that you played this game with
mhm.
teams. Are there any particular answers that you get to those questions depending on who you're playing with?
Um, resistance. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is not possible. It is not possible to change five more things about myself. Uh,
Mm.
and yeah, the resilience and or the resistance that was like, uh, this is stop it.
Mm.
Don't do this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot come
Yeah.
up with anything anymore. So people get sort of
Mm.
lost in don't overdo the
Mm-hmm.
change. So be
Mm.
aware
Yeah.
that you cannot change everything at once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I really find very interesting after the first round is when I asked people, what did you do after the first round?
Mm-hmm.
Almost without exception, people change back. People change back.
Oh. So they found the changes and then they thought, oh, maybe it's
Put the
over,
glasses on,
and then
put
it.
the shoes back on. So
Aha.
um, that's also a very important key lesson from this exercise is it's not that hard to
Mm-hmm.
change. You can change five things about yourself, but to have sustainable change, that's a hard part
Mm.
because uh, uh, people feel more safe and
Mm-hmm.
when they are in the situation they are familiar with. So if people
Mm-hmm.
change, it takes hard work and time to actually make that a sustainable change because they can have a tendency when they're stressed or when their home situation is not okay or things are happening at work
Mm.
to change back to the situation before because that's
Yeah.
familiar and that's safe. So for me, that's
Mm-hmm.
also an
Okay.
important
Wow.
lesson. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
that hard to change, but to really keep it changed.
Mm.
I don't know a better word than sustainable for it, but
Yeah, make it stick,
yeah,
sustainable, forming a new
yeah,
habit,
yeah.
literally, right?
Well,
Or
making it stick makes sense to me. Yeah.
mm, mm. Okay. So, do you have any other favorite, debriefings or any other perspectives that you take on what just happened in those, 3 to 4 change
Um,
rounds?
that's if you ask nicely, you can push people a little bit further than
Hmm.
they think is possibly that
Okay.
possible themselves. So
Yeah.
you can
Mm.
spark a little crazy and really coach people into creativity on finding different ways for a same problem.
Hmm.
If you do it in the right way,
Mm.
so you can get under the resilience and you
Okay.
can get under the I
Mm.
don't know. It's sparking the creativity, I think. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
watched the Netflix documentary about the creative brain yesterday
Uh huh.
evening, and it's like
Hmm.
sometimes you
Hmm.
have to stress your brain a little to get creative, but it is so rewarding to come up with creative and cool solutions.
Mm.
Um, People start solo, but eventually they will start working together to come up with better ideas, and that's also
Mm.
something that really fascinates me every single time. That people are so willing to help each other. So if you are in need of a change and you cannot figure it out, find help, find other people, find like-minded people or people having the same problems to get
Yeah.
creative and come up with something new or something creative or solve a
Mm.
hard problem. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, or act as a role model,
Mm,
right? Or
mm,
act as an
mm.
inspiration, or exchange what they've done, right, and how they felt.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, look, after the debriefing, how do you make sure that those experiences or insights are translated in
Mm-hmm.
sustainable or at least into new future behavior? So because I was just thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a company environment, we are asked to change behavior, but then there is a target behavior, right? There's this new set of rules, new things that we should now do, which are right, and others might be wrong, but they're in my comfort zone and I'm really used to it. So there's anxiety. And here in the game, you literally open-ended ask them to change anything. So how do you translate that into their day-to-day?
If I do that with a management team, for instance, I most of the time I do a follow-up session with a deepening session. Okay, what are the biggest things you have been changing last year, and how did they go? And so it will be more of a
Mm.
conversation and a dialogue, and maybe throw in some liberating structures there to actually come up with improvements on what they as leaders can do better to coach their
Mm.
people better and help their people better to actually embrace the change.
Mm-hmm.
Because to have a strategy and a vision and everything is great, but if you don't know what trickles down from that and how you can make sure that people really truly understand why do
Mm.
you want change, and don't tell them what to change,
Mm-hmm.
but let them figure it out
Right.
themselves what to change. So
Mm.
it's
Mm.
also about leadership in that sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
So I will
Yeah.
have a follow-up session about that, and how does this, and I also
Mm-hmm.
do this of course with the debriefing itself. How does this relate to your day-to-day work?
Mm.
Do you have some
Yes.
examples
Mm.
from your private life, or from where this happened, or
Mm.
things you can link to this exercise?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, what are the biggest takeaways of your participants when you've played the
there's
change game with them?
there's always something who starts about don't let me get nude somehow.
Mm.
I don't know what that is, but yeah. There's also always worry about that, but it never happens.
Mhm.
Trust me. Not even close. um, when we started this interview, I was talking about the fact that I really embrace the power of playification, and this is one of the
Mm.
great takeaways when I play this game and I explain what playification can do. Because in this game, you actually feel physically in your body what play can
Mm.
do
Yeah.
to make you understand things
Mm.
better, and that's one of the things that I
Mm.
get back a lot from people. You don't have to have
Yeah.
tabletop board games with 500 tokens and 3,000 cards and things like that. You can just use a game without all the fluff, and just play it with people, but have the same
Mm.
playing experience and learning experience.
Mm. And it's a quick one too, right? I mean, 4 rounds of 4 minutes, a little bit intro, and then they're looking for the changes. So this could be done in about 10 to 15
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
right?
And if you do a proper debrief, maybe 20 or something. But yeah,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm.
but it's a very quick way of letting people understand the power of play. How absolutely strong it
Mm.
is to experience. Because I can tell you this, you can listen to this podcast and think, oh, that's a nice game. But if you are really
Mm.
experiencing it, it's a different ball game. Yeah,
Mm. Mm.
and I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
because of
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Great, great. And you were, of course, talking about, several deeper
Hmm.
layers of this game. So we explored the change and the emotional reactions, the creativity, and the looking around, getting inspired, maybe asking for help, all the way to, explaining playification and how a playful intervention can be a great starting point to discuss leadership or just change
Hmm.
initiatives in general or your own way to approach change. Do you have any other deeper layers that you not always but sometimes explore with participants?
Um, if I do it with a team who regularly works together, you can
Mm-hmm.
also go into the team dynamic part. So because of course people look at each other and maybe look up to each other or look down on each
Mm-hmm.
other even. So what
Mm-hmm.
team patterns do you recognize? Who's the leader of the pack? Did everybody talk as much as they wanted to? Maybe you even use
Mm-hmm.
Dov styles meeting spicer for it. Think for 20 seconds
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
yeah.
true. Oh, look, I'm gonna link the meeting spicers from the
Yeah,
in the
sure.
show notes. So actually, I should
Yeah.
interview him on the meeting
He
spicer.
will probably be willing to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Have some great questions on that. Okay. What did you see happening in
Mm.
your team? And so I think, a portion
Mm-hmm.
of that can also be reflected on how you play the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I think that's one of the biggest messages we should also send out from
Hmm.
this podcast, right? The game is the one thing, but then of course you have to design and tie it
Yeah.
to the learning experience, the topic of the day, the group, the company, the
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
momentum they're in, literally, right? Depending on if they're preparing for change or if they're
Hmm.
already
Hmm.
stressed
Hmm.
with too much change, right? So um, that can then trigger the insights that can then be
Yeah.
helpful for a group or a team.
And next to that, it's a great laugh and great fun. And that's also something that really people tend to talk about it afterwards because it was fun. And
Mm.
hopefully the lessons
Uh-huh.
will also stick, of course.
Of course, of course. But fun is a good hook, for them to remember, and it's emotional. And as we know, the more emotional, the better we
Yes.
can remember. Yeah, an experience. Look, Nancy, I was wondering, can this game be done with distributed teams? Is that
Um,
is that possible?
I have never tried, so I might give it a
Mm.
try. It is a bit of a hassle to get your whole
True.
person,
Yeah.
I think. In
You only see half of the person, right? But you see a little bit of the background and the environment.
Yeah, you can, but you cannot. You miss the dimension of seeing other people in the room making changes. Of course, so that's a bit of a thing
True.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
figuring,
that's
trying
true.
to get my head around on how you
Yeah.
can work with that.
Mm.
Maybe if you have two teams, so a team in nearshore and team in offshore, for instance, and you have those teams linked together with cameras, that might work because I see a lot of that in distributed
Yeah.
teams that a group of people is on the one side and a group of people is on the other
Mm-hmm.
side. I think that could work
Oh,
with camera
yeah, I
work.
like that tweak. Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
can actually sneak peek
Okay.
at other soulmates.
Mm-hmm. True.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I should just try it once. That's the best way to learn. Experiment. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I was just thinking about this question because some games or some game mechanics can be tweaked. Like
Hmm.
for example, you have a group stand in front of the camera, like the thing that you came up with now, and then it also works, right? Now, of course, there is
Hmm.
some limitations connected to being on
Yeah.
remotely connected only, but yeah, I guess remote is the new normal. Sooner or later, I would say. So, look, we talked about leadership, team dynamics. Are there any other, let's say, activities or models that you like to show, explain, or explore before or after the change game? Is there anything else that you like to link
Um,
with that game?
it's actually another game, which is I learned it
Mm-hmm.
from Silvana, and I forgot her last name, at Agile in Europe last year in Porto. It shows or organizational change in hierarchy. Wow, how am I going to explain it?
Okay.
There's one person who is the CEO of the company standing in the middle of the room, and you already have the free room for the change game, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So you already have that. And do
Mm-hmm.
you know the game from Lemmings from the 80s 90s? So someone stands out with their arms
Yes.
stretched
Uh-huh.
at the side of their bodies with their hands up. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. And two people are facing the hands of the person standing in the middle. So they have their face
Okay. Mm-hmm.
really close to the hand, not at the hand, but really close to the hand, and they stand in the same
Mm-hmm.
similar way
Uh-huh.
as a lemming
Mm-hmm.
stopper.
Okay.
Then you ask the CEO to move the organization.
Yeah.
So they will move their arms around or hands
Mm-hmm.
around, and the management has to follow
Mm-hmm.
with their face. So they move their hands,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
the face will follow.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's the first one, and then after that you ask four more volunteers to stand close to the hand of the management. So you have the CEO, you have the manager on each side, and then you have
Right.
four other people facing the
Okay.
hands of the managers and also
Mm-hmm.
standing with their hands to the sides.
Okay. So now we're seven people, right, in
Yeah.
total now.
And then you ask the
Wow.
CEO to move
Okay.
his or her organization again. And some
Mm.
CEOs will make very
Mm-hmm.
fast and
Mm.
rapid movements, and you will see that it will become utter chaos. Some CEOs understand that they have to move slowly. I actually
Yeah.
have a movie of this, I think. So I will send you. I sent you a
Oh.
link to
Oh,
a
really?
so you
Okay.
can
Let's
actually see it because it's
please
a
do.
hard one to explain. Now I
Mm.
find out. But then you will see that the people will start following the CEO. At least the managers probably will, and then they have to figure out a way to how to cope with
Mm.
the people that are following their hands. And you can go. I've played this game actually with 60
Mm-hmm.
people. Um, that's that's crazy. And
Wow.
the lessons that are learned from that on for managers,
Mm-hmm.
who do you follow? Are you taking care of your people that they are safe, or are you following the CEO? Or and
Mm.
how did it make you feel? People at the end of the
Mm.
organization, did you understand where the CEO is
Okay.
going? So it's such an elegant,
Yeah.
easy exercise to
Mm.
show what it means to move an
Okay.
organization.
Wow, I can really sense and hear and feel that you love to
Yes.
design strings of serious games to, yeah, get
Yeah.
get the learning experience across. Perfect. But look, Nancy, what
Mhm.
is a maybe just two more questions. But what is it? Do you have a ultimate facilitation tip for our listeners? So no matter if they're well experienced serious games facilitators or if they're just starting to explore with their first serious games, what is your ultimate tip?
The thing that I personally find the hardest but the most powerful is shut up. Shut up.
Okay.
If you One of the things I learned 2 years ago, I did
Mm-hmm.
education to become a coach with a specialization on team coaching. And one of the things that really still is in my mind, that there was one instance, one sentence that really struck me, was the group is showing you as a trainer or a coach or a facilitator what you have to learn.
Mm.
So the people in the group are showing you what you have to learn. And one of the things that my pitfall is, I'm working too hard. I'm making too much noise. I'm giving away all the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing too much. I'm teaching too much. And the thing about great facilitation is let people figure it out themselves. So my main tip with this in the back of your mind is shut up more.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Nancy, thanks for your time and that we could pick your brain on the change game. So where can our listeners meet you and play with you? I understood you're going to be at the Play 14 in Luxembourg, but any favorite Dutch conferences or European conferences that you will be speaking at?
I will be at Play 14 Prague. I don't know if you will make that one. I hopefully will be a speaker at the DevOps Days in Amsterdam. I will go to Agile in Europe in Riga,
Okay.
Lithuania. That's in August from the top of my head. And I'm always up for a cup of coffee if people want to find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, happyscrummaster.com, anywhere. Just find me or
Great. We'll add...
call Julian and ask my number. Or
there you go. I'll add all the links in the show notes. Once again, Nancy, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at Play 14 Luxembourg.
Me too.
Thanks again. And I have the feeling that one day I will call you up and just ask if we can make another episode of the Serious Games podcast.
Yes, I would really love that. Thank you so much for inviting me. And very cool. Thanks.
Great. Perfect. And to all our listeners, till next time. Bye-bye. You can reach us at hello@keylearning.net. We're looking forward to your suggestions, comments, and feedback.